listen to this. Welcome back to the ThinkSpace podcast. I am sitting down with Kassandra. Kassandra, how do you say your last name?
It's Italian, so you say it Guagliardi. You could
Guagliardi?
Yeah.
Guagliardi.
The second G is silent.
Okay. I
get razzed for that quite a bit. People
all the time?
Yeah.
Word. I like that. Writer, promoter, digital marketer, hip-hop enthusiast, urban enthusiast. What am I, I don't know.
I'll walk your dog if you need. I'm just a hustler.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. What's your dog walking per hour? What's your rate?
Make me an offer.
Yeah, 50,
yeah.
60. We'll see. Yeah. Sweet. I like it.
Depends how good your dog is.
So what do you, obviously I gotta admit, from our standpoint, and I'm ashamed of this, honestly, we're, to the listener's point of view, we're actually 11 or 12 episodes deep right now. You're only our second female guest.
Yeah, I heard.
Brutal.
Yeah.
So listeners, guys that are actually out there, if you know some amazing women, please send us their profiles, their names, their numbers if they want to be involved.
I certainly do.
Please.
I can make you a list right now.
Please make me Ashley. We'll have that conversation. I'm actively searching, and a lot of people feel kind of intimidated or whatever. I don't know. Maybe you struggle with that a little bit because you're out here doing all of these interviews and all these conversations, and you're promoting and doing all these festivals or whatever. So you have all these exchanges. Do you ever find that a little bit, I don't want to say awkward with the opposite sex, but there's always an added dynamic? Maybe am I tripping?
In what respect? Just
in the respect of there's always a degree of separation, I feel, or maybe that's just me in my youth, where it's if a guy walks in, or if a girl is having another conversation with a girl, it's almost as you have some sort of kind of mutual understanding where you can understand each other a little bit better. And then when you're sitting across the table with someone else, until you break down the barriers a little bit, it's kind of I get what he's saying, but what is he really saying, right? Do you ever find that at all?
Sometimes. I think, not to be underly feminist.
Yeah.
If that's a word.
It's all good.
I sort of it's people to people. You know what I mean? There's really, we just met. I think we're going to have a great conversation. Oh. The next guy that I meet, it could be a very awkward exchange.
Totally.
The next female I meet could be a even more awkward exchange. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just try to go person to person. Mm-hmm. Definitely. I mean, there are times in the industry where, especially in the music industry, as a female, you get looked at you're an assistant, you're a groupie, or you're someone I don't need to pay attention to. So you're quite disregarded at times.
Yeah.
For me, I try to make my presence sort of felt and known, though.
For sure.
I just do my part, I'm fucking here, and I'm a woman, and you're gonna, in the room. And you're gonna kind of either respect me or you're not, but you're gonna know where I stand.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So I go person to person.
So many guys are intimidated by that.
Yeah,
I mean, funny.
That's okay. That's okay. You can be intimidated by a strong woman. I think that shows,
okay,
your strength, maybe a little bit.
Maybe, but a lot of guys are I want a strong, independent woman that does her own thing and essentially is independent, or makes her own money, or has her own opinions on stuff. And then as soon as that woman comes into their life, they're like, whoa, she's just outlandish. I can't control her. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. She always has her own thoughts. I just can't do anything about it. And I'm like, well, that's what you're always, preaching for. And it goes the same way. It goes both ways or whatever.
Yeah.
But, so let me break it down. Break it down for everybody. What do you do on a day-to-day basis? I do my research, and we talk to the family. We're in all these same connections, the same family, and same industry. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to figure out where your mind is at, and what you're really thinking about every day, weekly, monthly. What do you do?
Okay, so my 9 to 5, I work for Timber Concerts.
Okay.
Just concert promotion.
Right.
It's a company that's been around for 30 plus years. Mm-hmm. It's a family run company, super small team. I'm a little bit of a youngin', I suppose, in the family, in the Timber family. I'm a little bit newer to the office scenario. I'm a little bit more alternative than everybody else. So everyone's really geared around like rock and roll, folk, indie rock, like that type of, even punk, metal. They do a lot of those shows. So I'm really super hip hop and super R&B.
Obviously, yeah, of course.
And Timber books a lot of really great hip hop and R&B. Yeah, so I
So
just
that's 9
kind
to
of
5, yeah.
Yeah, so that's my 9 to 5. And then on the side, I am a writer. I dabble a little bit in concert photography.
Ooh, I love that word. Dabble.
Yeah, like I
dabble.
try to do
I dabble
everything.
in wine.
Yeah, blog writer, editor of an online publication, digital marketing, like we were speaking about earlier. I just want to be self-sufficient.
I love it.
Yeah, I want to
love
be
it.
able to like go to sleep at night and think like, if I didn't have to depend on anybody and I only had to depend on myself, like I could still pay my rent and I could still have my own connections and, follow my dreams in some perspective.
You can hold your own. You're self-hired.
Yeah. Hey, there you
Whoops.
go. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that's a huge accomplishment in itself. We just had Martini on, as you know, and as all the listeners know, and that was one of his huge points was like, I'm like, hey, like Martini, at the end of the day, when you sit down, what are you proud of? You've done so much stuff. He's like, I'm just proud that I can take all the stuff that I like and actually make, I can build my own schedule and I can take all the shit that I'm truly, truly interested in and then, make a living off of that independently.
Yeah.
That's amazing, right?
It is.
And
we spend so much time, I think, for me in my younger years, like teens into throughout my 20s, doing like what I thought I should do, doing what I went to school for, and then taking my passion and doing that part-time. So the closer I got to the end of my 20s, I realized that I should be switching those things, like I should be making a career out of the stuff that I'm passionate about and then, making a little money on the side with the stuff that I went to school for.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What made you, okay, first off, what'd you go to school for?
I went to school for hairdressing.
What?
Yeah, so for a number of years, I was a hairstylist at high-end salons. And
I can't see it. I don't know.
I know. And now I wear tracksuits every day. I'm like, but I used to wear dresses every day, hair done every day, makeup done every day. Blow drying West Van housewives for $75 an hour, stuff like that. And it was not me. What I found was people they didn't come to me for my skills. They came to me for my personality. They came to me because I was interesting. I had things that I was doing on the weekends. I was writing. I was the online West Coast editor for Hip Hop Canada at the time. So, huge publication. It sounds really nice when you're telling people like, oh, wow, that's great.
Hip-Hop
What
Canada?
is that? Yeah.
Plus, no one knows what they have no idea what the actual.
Totally.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you get to go to concerts all the time for free. And then you write about them and your name is published online.
That's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I just found that people were like, more interested in kind of my personality and the things that I did rather than my skills, if that makes
I'm
any
cutting
sense.
your hair here.
Yeah. How was that blow dry though?
Yeah. Don't worry about it. Yeah, for sure. So you capitalize off that a little bit. I get it for sure. What made you switch?
Yeah.
What was that switch there? Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to not get paid off of what you're good at.
Yeah.
Right? But you said you went a different route for a couple years.
I think the universe sometimes forces you out of your comfort zone. So of course, wouldn't it have been amazing, from the time I realized I was into music, that I had a job already set up for me and it was easy to get. That wasn't the case. I went to school for to be a hairstylist. I was a writer on the side. I became more and more involved in the hip hop community in Vancouver, especially the local scene.
Right.
I tried to throw shows and I tried to do, this type of thing. Kevin was involved as well. At the time, we experimented. We did a ton of stuff. I did a ton of stuff with a lot of different people that were in the industry and, whatever, like projects, small projects. And, the salon that I worked for closed down. So I had to move to another salon. 2 years later, that salon closed down. Crazy. So I was like, this is not, like, I'm not going to take my clients and move them to another place. And it's like starting from the bottom. You know what I mean? You're like forcing your clients to like follow you. Like you're begging people. And I'm like, why am I begging people that I don't even particularly like
enjoy,
connect with? Yeah. Like, this is not for me anymore.
Yeah.
So I did the opposite. I got myself more into the music scene and started doing hair one day a week on the side from my apartment. And the way I got into the music industry more, I suppose it was, I was always a writer. I was always trying to get into shows. I was at every single show I could possibly be at.
Right.
Everybody that would give me a media pass, I was there. I was either writing about it, I was taking photos. I was bugging artists for interviews after the show. You know, I was trying to be somebody.
Right.
And then I started working for a company called The Alexander.
Okay, I'm not familiar.
Yeah, it was a nightclub.
Okay.
It stood for 2.5 years in Gastown.
Yeah.
We did some really fucking amazing shit there.
Okay.
But started from the ground up. It was a company that was put together by a group of friends, really close friends.
Okay.
One of those people being my boss at Timber Concerts.
I see.
So I got in. I was coat check. I was at the bottom of the barrel. I was in this disgusting room at the bottom of the Alexander in this heritage building in Gastown.
Yeah.
And I was working coat check, and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I need to move up. So from day one, I was like, listen, I need to move up. Like, what can I do? An unfortunate incident happened, and one of the GM that was running the place when we first opened, months later, like 2 or 3 months later, passed away.
Oh.
So everybody was up in shambles. It was one of their best friends. It was devastating. It was devastating for the community. He was a figure in the community. He was a figure in the actual establishment. So they needed help.
Right.
So I just offered. Let me do
Anything.
social media.
Yeah,
let
sure.
me run your website. Let me do the things that like you physically can't handle doing right now because you're grieving. And they let me.
Wow.
So from there, I just slowly moved up. I moved up to become the assistant general manager of that nightclub. I worked really, really closely with the GM and with the talent buyer, and we just threw fucking 6 shows. Am I allowed to swear?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
No problem
okay,
at all.
good.
Come on now. This is self-hired. Get out of
Yeah.
here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah. Okay. So we threw really amazing shows. Yeah. Like if you weren't familiar with the establishment.
Well,
I'm
from the island, so like yeah.
No, and like I said, it was 2.5 years. So it's
Right.
like you had to be here during that time and really know. Otherwise, it was a shooting
It was
star.
there and it was gone.
Yeah. And so we had like off the top of my head, we did an ASAP after party. So ASAP Rocky came. We did Lil Uzi Vert and Playboi Carti together for their very first show in Vancouver.
Okay, hold on. How do you make the connection there? That's huge.
That's huge. They were
Right.
huge, yeah. So at that time, Timber Concerts was a part of booking the Alexander.
I see. Okay.
Alongside the talent buyer, who was Jay Swing, who we were just talking about
Before the podcast, yeah.
So yeah, we just all worked really closely together, and they pulled off these shows that were like so epic.
Sure.
Majid Jordan's very first show ever. Period.
What?
Yeah.
When was this? What year was this?
I guess it was probably 2015.
God, they've shelved him. But yeah.
We did Tory Lanez twice in 1 year, the first year that we were open.
Oh my gosh.
And
oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, it was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
The shows that we put into a 350 cap venue were insane.
Unreal.
Yeah. And so
Totally.
that was really like, okay, like I'm not going back. Like I don't care what happens.
Yeah.
Like I need to be in this environment. I need to be a part of something that's moving the Vancouver music scene.
Beautiful.
I can't just let this, I can't just not be a part of it.
Yeah, you can't sit on the sidelines and just watch people come to the city, then leave.
Right. Yeah.
How do you feel about it now? Then, like you've been in this industry, so to speak. How long? When did you really jump into it?
I would say 2011.
2011.
Yeah, maybe a little bit earlier, but 2011 was really when I started actively taking part in the local scene and in the Vancouver, in general.
So 7-8 years, right? Roughly, whatever. Who's counting? How do you feel about where it was and where it is now in 2018 / coming up 2019 now? Just in terms of the city's culture and how artists feel coming through here. Do you feel it's changed, shifted?
An
what's the
exponential
feel?
difference.
Yeah?
Huge.
Okay, please elaborate.
I think I come from a generation that was underneath sort of the Vancouver music scene that did a little bit. You know what I mean? They did something. They were, perhaps nominated for Junos, and they made a little bit of noise in the music industry. And I was underneath that generation. So I don't really feel like we had mentors. We didn't have anybody in the music industry that set anything up for us. We didn't have anybody that was mentoring us to become better than them. We didn't have anybody showing us the way. We had no one laying a foundation. So for a lot of years, it was just free for all. Like people were just doing what they thought they should do.
Right.
Perhaps it was, you know, I don't want to compare us to Toronto, but perhaps we started to light a fire once Toronto started getting bigger.
Getting its moment.
Right.
Yeah.
And Vancouver became sort of a little bit more driven to do something. I don't think that changed anything out here. I just think the drive maybe became a little bit more serious. And so within, you know, the past couple years, I would say 2 or 3 years, the new generation of kids are coming out now and they know how to use the fucking internet and they know how to fucking make themselves heard. And they know how to research.
And there was a generation of mistakes before that. Like now these kids have mentors.
Right.
There's people to bring these people up under, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think we laid the foundation necessarily. I don't think my generation necessarily laid the foundation.
Sure.
But it's almost like, you know, like a wave, right? So we couldn't really go too much further down.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah,
like
I love it.
8 years ago,
Sure.
we couldn't really do any less. Like for real, you know,
Yeah.
no disrespect to any of the artists or promoters or anybody that was doing shit because, you know, God bless you for making the city fun. What, you know, when during that time.
Yeah.
However, you know, we weren't being lifted up, and we weren't lifting anybody up because we had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
Yeah. It was a free for all.
Right.
Yeah.
Now these kids know what the fuck they're doing. Like, they know their sound. They know that they're not trying to copycat the next guy or the, you know, Far
the Toronto
East or
the Atlanta or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. These artists that are really going to make a difference in the city have done it on their own. And they've done it also by working together, which is like a huge, like, it's a huge
Barrier.
change.
Yeah.
It's a huge change for the city. I think oftentimes, you know, say 7-8 years ago, artists who were making noise over here, and they weren't sharing their connections. They weren't collaborating.
Their fan bases,
Yeah, they were actively, like, you know, competing against one another. So it didn't do anything for the rest of us.
Right.
You know what I mean? It forced us to sort of choose sides, but it was like, I don't know. It's like picking between the fucking, you know, orange and the yellow starburst. Like, I want the red starburst. You know what I mean?
It's fucking dumb.
It's dumb. We don't
they're
need to
both
be
starburst. Like, you can enjoy both of these at the same time.
Yeah, and they're not even the good flavors. So, like, why are you making me choose?
Analogy game is on point. I love it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I totally feel you for sure. It's definitely come a long way. I think our sound is exciting now. Like we have a flavor that we can actually like taste and recognize and hear. And like, oh yeah, that's Vancouver or whatever, right?
Totally.
And, you know, maybe artists feel a little bit more comfortable coming here. Out of just curiosity, what did you think about the whole Drake situation? Because he went to that casino or whatever.
Fortune? Yeah.
No, he went to Fortune, right? Did that show before his one at Rogers?
Yep.
And then wasn't there some incident with them at a casino?
Park Casino,
What
yeah.
happened there?
I
Do you
don't
know
even want
anything?
to overshadow. First of all, I don't want to overshadow the fact that Drake went to fucking Fortune.
That's crazy.
This is an establishment I've been going to. They're having their 9-year anniversary coming up.
Yeah.
This is an establishment I went to on day one. Like,
Wow.
this is like, if you're in this scene, that is so fucking huge. And I only say this because, like, that was probably one of the biggest moments I feel like for Vancouver in the last like 5 years. Like,
Epic.
and you know, I'm sorry, Drake, but rules are rules, baby boy. You know,
What did
we
he
got
do?
rules in
Yo,
place here.
What did you do?
He
Hold
tried
up.
He tried to gamble. He tried to gamble with money without acknowledging where it came from on paper.
Ooh.
So BC casinos have a law so that you're not going and laundering money, right? Is that if you're gambling with over $10,000 worth of money, you just have to show where it came from.
Absolutely.
So either put it into your bank account, pull it out with a receipt.
Kind of.
Something along those lines, but you can't just come in with a
Cash.
duffel bag of $10,000.
Give me the chips.
Totally.
Yeah.
So rules are rules, and you know, someone just told me today that they have a friend that works at not Park Casino, but within the establishment, and they have a little. I don't want to like call this person out or whatever. They have a little business within the casino. It's a totally separate business. It's just in the establishment.
Okay.
And people found that person online and dragged them.
No.
Yes. So like, let's not overshadow the fact that
Sorry, yeah.
Drake was at Fortune, and that was so fucking huge.
Yeah.
And then the news covered the fact that he was pissed off at Park Casino. So I'm actually I actually feel a type of way about that.
Crazy.
Because I would have loved to see global news say, the headline say, Drake pulls up to local nightclub.
Totally.
Rather than Drake is very upset with Park Casino. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah, sure, but the memes were just so good with Park. And,
Yeah.
you know, like it's.
I reposted. I don't know. I love a good meme.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I'm not against a good meme, but yeah, I certainly think the headline here is that Drake was at Fortune, didn't have a scheduled performance,
and just showed
wasn't
up,
paid to
perform,
do 2 songs,
Yeah.
came up and like, and I'm not even saying that because I was this close to him,
Right. Okay.
because I was,
No big
just
deal.
gonna throw
Let me
that
just
in.
slide that in there. Anyways.
Yeah, but it was fucking epic. Like
Yeah.
if you were there, you really felt a super charge of
vibe.
energy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was insane.
No, I woke up to text messages the next morning like, yo, were you out? And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, what? And he's like,
Yeah.
yo, Drake was out last night. I was like, Drake wasn't out last night. Like,
Oh
stop
yeah,
it.
I have a close friend, and shout out her because her brother actually owns Fortune. He's one of the owners of Fortune.
moment.
And she
God.
texted me like, "You bitch, I would have ran if you told me Drake was there."
Oh my gosh.
She's telling me like, I would have ran there.
Yeah.
You didn't even text me. I was like, I was saving my battery life, girlfriend.
I
needed
that video.
Yeah, I needed Instagram stories.
oh my
I needed
God.
sideways videos. Like,
Everything.
it's not about you.
Yeah, that's big time. That's
yeah.
so cool for the city, man. I love to see that. I hope more artists will come through and do that. And
Totally.
And, you know, another thing we talked about before, actually on the podcast. I want to say it was Floetic, maybe it was Icy. I apologize, but we were talking about there's no real press run. Like when you go to, like, say you're playing at Madison Square Garden, where are you gonna go? Hot 97, right? Breakfast Club. There's
Totally.
spots to hit.
Yeah.
What's your press run in Vancouver? That, as a promoter, when you say, hey, listen, we can sell tickets through X, X, and X.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is there anything?
Goals. Like, yeah, let's do that.
Right?
Yeah,
But like, I'm correct in
for sure.
like Virgin Radio is going to be like, oh, yo, Tory Lanez is in the city, you know, unless it's Bruno Mars.
You know, I know
or
what's
it's
funny is for Breakout Fest, we actually tried to we put some advertisements on to Virgin Radio for
Yeah.
the first Breakout Fest, and they told us we won't put Migos in the background because we don't play Migos, and the only Tory Lanez song we play is "Say It," which was his very first hit from a few years ago.
From 2016.
And I was like, this is the caliber, no disrespect to Virgin, because do your thing. And, you know, I think there's some amazing people that work for Virgin as well.
Yeah, totally.
But that's what we have for urban radio. You know what I mean? And that's so disappointing. So what you're talking about is like, you know, wouldn't it be great for us to have a Hot 97 or a Breakfast Club or whatever? Of course. We need someone with money to put some respect on our name and our city.
Shut up, Birdman.
Yeah. No, we do. We do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, to have some faith in us, and I think we could most definitely carry on.
Oh man,
something of
absolutely.
that level.
My background's in business, right? So I work in a wealth management firm. So we talk about white space all the time. Like, is there a white space in this industry? Is there, like, can we deploy capital here? Yada yada yada, right? And especially in the urban industry right now, it's like I'm just looking, and the people that I talk to have at this table, I'm like, so wait, let me get this straight, right? Like, there's nothing here, right? Like when I look around and I'm trying to find whether that's radio stations or whether that's, you know, shows or whether that's just like things to do with quote unquote the culture, I'm like, there's essentially nothing. Like, I'm getting this right. Like, there's one, you know, like Martini is like, when I look at Martini, I'm like, that's the OG. Like, that is like, yeah, sure, there's a couple guys, but there's just not the culture in it. Cause I'm from Hornby Island, right? I'm from Vancouver Island, as you guys know, but I look around, I'm asking everyone, like, let me get this straight. Like, there's 5 million people here in BC, there's 2 million in the Lower Mainland, and we still don't have any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, obviously there's some issues there. So then my brain goes to, okay, let's break this down. Why is there this white space still here? Is it something we're doing it? Has the market just not realized it yet? Like, there are fans here. We talk about it with basketball all the time. Like, why are the Grizzlies not here? Like, you know, like why there's white space in there as well. We have white space for the sports hosting.
And people love it here too. Artists come to this city. They love this city.
Amazing.
You know, actors come here. They love this city. You know, how many times have you seen someone like The Rock posting, "Oh, my favorite city. I'm back in Vancouver," or
doing the grouse grind or whatever, right?
Whatever it is, people love it here, and they spend a lot of time here. I think you can find those things though if you really search. Like, you can find those little, like I said, like the kids are all right. You know, like they're really trying. And if you do some digging, you can find the people doing these types of things. You just don't have that recognition from the people with money putting their funds into it. And you know, it's interesting because, like you said, urban culture is so marketable now, and they're using.
Oh my gosh, it's pop culture.
Exactly. And everything. In Adidas commercials, in, you know, Bud Light. They're throwing house parties in Vancouver specifically for Bud Light, headlined by hip hop artists, for fans of hip hop music, to promote a beer. Like, who the fuck drinks Bud Light anymore? I'm telling you, probably at least 40 people that went to that house party definitely did after that. Yeah. You know, I 100%. Recognize that now as a brand that supports hip hop and supports the arts in this city. So yeah, I'm definitely fucking with them.
For sure.
I think it just takes more sort of like woke people, and you know, younger people are getting into these positions, you know, head of marketing, and it's like the old guys are, you know,
we're
retiring
cycling through here.
Yeah. So the people that are, you know, spearheading these, you know, campaigns and these movements are the younger generations.
Yeah, for sure. Under
so they're more woke.
Yeah, totally. No, I feel you for sure. Like, but I think in my mind, I haven't identified at least like who is our, since we're using the example of Hot 97, who's our Ebro? Like, who's going to be our Paul Rosenberg? Like, who's going to be like our Charlemagne? And these are just like very generic, well, not generic, they're, you know, types of figures. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not seeing them emerge. And like, again, whose fault is that? Is that their fault? Is that the market's fault? Or like, but at the same time, as much as we can talk about, oh, this is missing, or this has come and gone, like, the market is the market. Like, but the one point that gives me hope is, like you just said right there, is, well, brands like Bacardi, Bud Light, they come here, they understand the money is here, right? So why are our cultural figures not rising to the top? If that does that make any sense, right? Then I do
lack of platforms, I suppose. You know, it's like, if you want to do something in the city, you have to build it from the ground up. There's no, hey, you know, when I think of, you know, who's the Ebros and who's the Charlemagnes, I think of like someone like Flip Out, you know what I mean? Or somebody that's like, somebody that's got a really great personality, someone that's got a mind full of facts and
culture and history, and
that has seen this, but like, you know, Flip Out's a DJ on Virgin Radio, right? Yeah. Someone give that guy the fucking mic. You know, that's what I'm saying.
Couldn't agree more. And like right now, and well, you know who gave him the mic? Red Bull. Right. Red Bull gave him the mic.
Yeah.
And like, shout out to Red Bull.
That's the thing. Right? Exactly. That's the thing. So if there's a platform, you can find these people. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Red Bull has a platform. They, you know, bring on someone like Flip Out, and I'm sure that's very successful for both of them.
And take him around the world, right? Yeah. Like, they're not building a platform here, true. Right? Like, bring
our boy home.
Yeah, come on. Bring him home. Hashtag bring Flip Out home. Let's get that trending.
You might have to edit this out. I might be gassing him too much.
Nah, not at all. Hopefully we'll have Flip Out on in the near future here. And you know what? Point in case, like this podcast, like we looked around and we're like, that was one of the questions we asked ourselves, like, hey, where do people go? Where, like, we're looking around, and like the self-hired crew team is like so deeply embedded in urban music, digital culture within the city. And I'm just, you know, having these conversations, and I'm like, none of these, like, I've never heard of any of these people. And like, all of these people go so deep, like incredibly deep. We had Jamie Coos on, who's like, again, Riverdale producer, like Seth K, Mercules, T-Loc, all these guys, and like major artists that come through and record with them. And it's like, wait, this person is in Vancouver? Yeah. And that dialogue happens so much, like, whoa, that's in Vancouver? Yeah. Crazy. But let's think about it, like, just simply on a macro scale, on a fundamental first principles thinking. We have the infrastructure, we have the business, we also have the population. This entire culture is just swept to the side.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, as a promoter, do you find that as an issue when you try to bring talent to the city, or are they just like, no, we can sell tickets?
It depends. I think Vancouver has a really interesting taste, you know, like popular music, popular hip hop does well.
Yeah.
You know, something that's maybe really artistic and super cool, but not so mainstream. Sell a few less tickets.
Can you give me an example of that?
Oh, like what can I give you an example of?
So like artistic, Majid Jordan, for instance. I guess, is that a good example? I don't know.
Majid Jordan sold the fuck out the first day they'd ever did a show here.
Yeah, but they're fucking awesome though.
Yeah, they're so fucking awesome.
Yeah. But they are artistic and a little bit alternate. But that sound is in.
I don't know. Like for example, the local scene. Sure. Let's just bring that up. There's some really amazing artists in this local scene.
Talk that talk.
If they do a show tomorrow, they'll have, maybe 30 people paying at the door, maybe another 20 asking for guest list.
Another 50 asking for guest list, but yeah.
Yeah, these people aren't willing to pay to support something from their own city, but they really want to see a Drake come out of this city.
Entitled.
Entitled. Yeah. But they'll pay $90 to see fucking YG. Bro, you know what I mean?
Bro, or $300 to see J&B.
Whatever.
And not even see J&B, just see a projector of J&B.
Yeah.
I know.
So, yeah. So, for instance, that. Vancouver wants to know what they're going to get there, for their money. And they want to know that if they're going to go out, they're going to hear... all their favorite hits and this and that, versus going out and saying, yo, I like one song from Seth K. Yeah. And
Side
I'm going to go.
Shit. Side.
Side. Yeah. My bad. We're helping the revamp.
Dope new single, though. Stay Free, by the way, Side.
Yeah. Great artist. Been around for a minute. Has a fan base. I want to see that fan base come out to his shows and pay without blinking and support that artist. And I want the same people that are complaining about we don't have a Drake and we don't have a this and that in our city. I want to see those people actively coming out to support
100%
those types of artists.
100%.
So yeah, like I suppose in that respect, as a promoter, I think there's a lack of venues in this city. We have to think about the young people too, as much as people don't like to think about the under 19s,
yeah.
A lot of the music industry is embedded into the club scene. So a lot of shows are in the club. So the nightclub scene and the music scene get intermingled unnecessarily.
Right. Which leaves out a whole demographic.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it also, combines a bunch of people that, half those people aren't supporting the music scene. They're supporting the club scene.
Right.
Right. So we don't have spaces like they do in other cities. Toronto, they're doing album release parties in churches.
It's so cool.
How cool is that?
So cool. Yeah.
Here we're doing album release parties at Fortune. Yeah, no disrespect to Fortune. I love it. It's been the cultural hub for this city for the last 9 years, and God bless them for doing that, because otherwise we'd have nothing. Yeah. But we don't have these, assets for these artists to utilize. Therefore, people aren't taking them seriously, and they shouldn't.
Do you think there's a lack of trust from a consumer standpoint? Like, I can't trust for me to come onto a show and this music to be good music. Like, yeah, I might like one song or two songs, but that's not enough for me to pay a $20 ticket or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Do you think there's a disconnect there from a consumer standpoint?
Yeah, maybe not a lack of trust, but just like a full-on haterism disease, like... You know what I mean?
Thank you.
I don't know. Pick 5 artists that you like from the city.
You're like my political correctness translator. I like it. Yeah.
I know. You be calm, and I'll say what's on our minds.
I just say they're full of shit. And
yeah. No, like for real. I think if you want to consider yourself part of this music scene, especially, and a supporter of this music scene, pick not even 5 artists, pick 2 artists and actively support that person. Yeah. Follow their Spotify playlist, retweet them every time they do something, show up at their shows and pay for a ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that together will build us up to having a Drake and an OVO in our city, and something that you can be proud of being a part of. You know what I mean?
And take ownership of, yeah.
Fully.
No, I know. Who do you think, you know what, just to that point, I know people in the city that will host events, and their network will be, large, and all their friends will come out because they're hosting the event, or, even if they don't even know the artist, like, oh yeah, they'll come out or whatever, and they'll be like, hey, yo, Griffin, you see me at the door, like, you got me, I'm guest list, right?
Yeah.
Like, you got me? You got me? And then Griffin will come up, who's hosting the event, and say, see this right here? This is a 20. All right, I'm gonna put this right here in the box, and you can come in, okay?
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yeah, bro, like, no, don't worry about it. And they'll pull out their wad and be like, yeah, here you go, no problem, right?
Yeah.
But it's just that sense of like, oh, I want to be guest list. I want to be VIP.
Yeah.
I want to be.
Oh yeah.
Where the
Vancouver has a VIP
from?
disease.
Where do we get that from? How does that happen?
I don't know. If you give like a child a small amount of candy, they just want more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You give one person VIP and you tell them they're on VIP guest list, that motherfucker is not paying for a ticket ever. Again. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm a firm believer in supporting your friends.
Yep.
If your friends are doing something and they're actively trying to do something, support your motherfucking friends.
Word.
And 2, I'm a big fan of trades because I'm in the promoter business. And I can't say I'm going to be going out and paying for shows here and this and that and whatever, right? Because I would be so hypocritical to tell everybody, yo, pay for shows. However, I can trade something. You're going to ask me to come to my shows. I'm going to ask you to go to your shows. And that's how I support.
You're going to provide value. You're going to create an economy.
100%. So I don't want to say that like, I'm out here paying for all these shows and this and that, but I am supporting my friends and I am supporting the people that I think deserve it. I'm reposting their stuff. I'm doing it in other ways. So, support comes from, paying at the door, most definitely, but there is other ways too. And if you've got nothing to offer, you pay your $15, bro.
Yeah, 100%. No, and
you're not coming through to take photos. You're not coming through to, whatever.
Yeah, you're not coming through just
social
for your
media,
Instagram story or whatever.
You're just coming through to get lit and, grab a few drink tickets.
Yeah.
Pay your $15 at the door.
Totally.
Yeah.
And like, even if you do, that's what I really like is like when guys come through, like for instance, I was at Emotions Open Mic last night.
Yeah.
For the 3-year or whatever. And like seeing guys that I know from like the Self-Fired crew or whatever, and just guys that I know through Floetic or whatever, like guys that like really can get in free. Like it's just like, hey, what's up? And it's just like,
and they'll throw in the donation
they'll throw
box.
in there like whatever.
Yeah.
Like, fuck, that's like, where did that go? Like, I don't know. A lot of the time, maybe I'll have this conversation off the podcast and I'm like, I feel like an outsider because I'm like, I come from a small community where it's like, it's just it's in your blood. Like you
don't ask for things for free.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like no. You understand the work that was put in.
Right.
Like whether that, I mean, from my perspective, it's like a farmer's market type thing where it's like, no, you drove past that person's strawberry patch every day, and now you're not gonna go ask for a free batch of strawberries because you've seen that person out there working constantly, and that's maybe there's some parallels you can draw there from you see this person on social media, or you see this person. I mean, back in the day, you could see this person out handing out flyers, and you're gonna go and try to ask to get in free.
Yeah.
And a lot of that I think maybe is, for instance, we do this podcast, there's a lot of work that goes into this, right? So like when people ask to come on, it's like, it's not, yes, it's we want to support you, but it's not, come and treat it with respect, like there was work put into this.
Yeah, it's
right?
not one-sided.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Come and give value. Don't just take value, right? There's
100%.
And I don't ever want to have anybody in here that's just here for their Instagram story. You know what I'm saying? Or just here to promote this, or just like, are you promoting anything right now? Like, are you like, do you have an album coming out? No.
Yeah.
Like,
no.
yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Are you asking me,
no.
or
Well,
is it,
no.
okay? Because I do actually.
Yeah,
It's not an album.
Yeah.
But.
Word. We'll get to that later. But the sole purpose of your being here is you having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like adding something to the general narrative and the greater narrative.
Totally.
Right? And that's why you're fucking here.
Yeah.
So like we'll get DMs from like so-and-so girl that has 100K on Instagram, and then I'm like, okay, cool. Like, what do you do? And they're like, well, like I work out and I'm really big on nutrition, but I just like I have an Instagram and that's it. And then I'll get the same guy that's a guy that's just like, so what do you do? And they're like, oh man, I just like I bodybuild and I just post. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to talk about? And they're like,
macros,
carbs, ketogenic diet. And I'm like, yeah.
I'd be interested in that.
I'm like, yeah, cool for sure, but like, it's not the direction that we want to necessarily go in. And it's not to say that you don't have value, but it's just like, man, I just want to seek and be a magnet to substance.
Right.
And if you have substance, I'm with you. And that goes for the same thing. Like, for instance, the Joe Budden podcast, right? awesome podcast. Who came through there? I want to say it was Chance came through there and just kicked it. He didn't have a project or whatever, right? Like it wasn't like, oh, he's doing his promo run.
He's doing
just
something
like,
for the culture.
He's just out here just having a general conversation so we can elevate. Like, that's so beautiful.
That is cool.
And that's the whole thing. Again, just to revert back to the farmer's market, model is you would go there just to be there. You would go there just to have a presence and make it look like it was full. And if you had to throw in $5 here for an organic fucking coffee, you would, because that's your duty. And it's not like anyone's even telling you it's your duty. It's just like, no, I take ownership over everything that's happening here, right? I also feel like there's a grand narrative, and I don't have the credentials to even speak on this, but my thought as an outsider almost, that I've been in the city for 2 years now, is we have if something goes wrong in the city, or an event doesn't fill up, or so-and-so cancels their dates here because they couldn't sell or whatever it may be, we'll just turn around and go, oh yeah, that's Vancouver,
right?
That's Vancouver for you. Bitch, you are Vancouver,
right?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where's the
Take
ownership
for your city?
Take your fucking ownership.
Totally.
Right? Like, where's the I'm from Vancouver?
Yeah. Yeah.
Does it exist? I don't know if it exists.
People are proud to be from here when something's happening.
But when it's not.
Right. So yeah, that's exactly what you're saying.
Like the Olympics were 8 years ago. Like that's the last time I was really hearing anybody be like, yeah. I don't know. I don't have the credentials to talk about it, but
Gotta do your fact checking first.
Someone's hitting my DMs right now, like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about, and I don't. Sorry, you're still listening. Anyways, we can talk culture all day. I want to get a little bit more into what you have done and how we touched on a little bit how you got to the freelance, if you will, position that you're in now, where again you kind of have that freedom to again bring in all your passions, whether that's writing or music or interviewing or whatever it may be. That's a position a lot of people want to be in.
Yeah.
And very few people.
Yeah.
Like, that's amazing.
I forget that a lot.
Like, so many people fall, I don't want to say victim, but kind of victim to like, I need a paycheck. Like, how did you? Of course,
it's an expensive city to live in.
Yeah, how did you dodge that?
So yeah, as I mentioned, I was at the Alexander for 2 years, and
let's pick up the story.
We did this, epic 2.5 years, and I met some amazing people, and I worked underneath, some even more amazing people. Oddly enough, that was my third job in a row that got closed down. The establishment got closed down.
God, you're a wrecking ball.
Yeah. Is it me? Why does everything crumble underneath me?
She says with a smirk.
Yeah. No, but it was devastating.
Yeah.
I loved that place. I had freedom of creative control at that place. I was a manager. I loved my job.
Badass.
But I think, again, the universe has a funny way of telling you, like, you could be here forever and not elevate if you stayed here. So I could have been comfortable doing that for, well into my 40s and 50s and just been a, general manager at a nightclub and with gray hair and just kept on going. But yeah, because it did close down, I was, I needed money and I wasn't going to go back to hairdressing. And that's my only trade, on paper.
That's your only skill, if you will?
No,
quote
not,
unquote. You know what I'm saying?
When you apply for a job, you have to list what you do well and why you do well at that. So I'm really good at, graphic design because I went to this school for X amount of years. I don't have that type of education. I learned everything I know from the internet aside from hairstylist.
Fuck yeah.
Being a hairstylist. So, it's really difficult to go and try to, say to somebody who doesn't know you on the internet, hey, can I be an A&R for Universal?
I love that you're transparent about that.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all good.
That was my prior engagements. So I didn't want to go back to being a hairstylist, and I live in Vancouver. I live on my own. I live in Gastown. I've got an expensive apartment. I like to get my hair done and my nails done. I've got expenses, boo-boo. I need to make money.
Yeah, come on now. Yeah.
So I just improvised. I took the job that I had at Alexander and I just said, okay, what have you done here? You're a manager. You work the front door, so I'm operations, run the Instagram and, you know, all the social media. So that's digital marketing. You know, there wasn't anything I didn't do there. I bar managed. I, you know, did set up ticketing. I cleaned the floors if they needed to be cleaned. So I didn't want to go back to what I had done before. So I just made it work.
See, that's what I love, like, just about your spirit that I'm just getting now is, like, you're fearless about that fact. Like, you remind me a little bit of Russ.
Oh, okay.
And just in the sense of, like, a lot of people hate Russ.
DIY? No.
DIY.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I can't say I can particularly enjoy a wide range of his music. However, very smart individual.
The methodology behind it, though. Like, he's always, like, mix master engineer, mix producer, whatever, right? Yeah. And he's like, you know, I do it all. And then I remember some interview where he was just like, you know, how did you become so good at all this? And he's like, you know, that's the funny part. Like, I just learned all this shit off the internet and I don't actually know how to do any of this.
Right.
And I was like, and I see this similar thing right here with you. Like, listen, I just was deployed and found myself in these situations, picked things up as I went. If I need to Google shit or YouTube this shit or whatever it may be, I just went ahead and did it, found it out however I could. No formal education. I can't write it on my resume. Can I do the physical work? Absolutely yes. Can I execute on a high level? Absolutely yes. But the only reason I know how to do this is because I just went head first into it and was like, all right, here are all the pieces. Let me put them together somehow.
Yeah.
Right. And find a way somehow. That's audacity though. And that's like blind confidence.
Yeah.
How
I just start with the people that know me. You know, so
okay.
like we've known each other for 45 minutes.
Sure, an hour.
You know, yeah. So you know, you can tell that I'm gonna try to get what I want.
Yep.
You know,
you're gonna say what you want.
Yeah. And I think the relationships that I've built over, you know, the last 10 or 12 years that I've been in this city, people and I connect on that level. You know, I connect with people who are the same as me.
Totally.
So people understand that about me. So I went straight to those people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you
let me work for you.
Yeah.
Here's what I can do for you.
Yeah.
You know, I was hungry about that, and I got sick of, you know, cold emailing.
Yeah, fuck
and
that.
Trying to convince people who didn't know me that I was worthy of working for their establishment with absolutely no education on paper. Mm-hmm. You know?
Mm-hmm. I feel that 100%.
I just went to the people that knew me, and I'm continuing to do that, and that works for me.
Do you? I know the answer to this question, but I want to ask it anyways. Do you accredit any of that to luck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the people that I've met, who've inspired me and who've provided me opportunities, those are lucky interactions. That truly is luck. You know, that's serendipitous or fate or Jesus or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Whatever you call it, the universe.
Sure. Okay. Sure. I get it. I understand. And I say that all the time because I'm similar to you in a lot of regards where I'm like, listen, you know, I just was put in this position. I got this connection, and then this person led to this. And I look back at it all. I'm like, wow, man, that is just one lucky fucking turn of events that just happened out of nowhere. But, and as much as I will say that outwardly, part of me is like, well, I also did put in all the groundwork to be in that position and have the audacity to say that, right? So, like, as much as I agree,
you know, I could have quit the music industry, like when I said it was in that dip.
Yeah.
I could have quit down there.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I didn't, because I may be a bit of a, you know, old timer in the industry at this point. But I'm excited.
How old are you?
I'm in my 30s. I'm turning 34 next week.
Okay. Jesus. Okay. Yeah, sure.
Shout out my skincare routine. No, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
Yeah, but I could have given up down there.
Yeah.
You know, with all of the people that were disgruntled and weren't excited about the industry, and all of the people in the previous generation who didn't want to help.
And
I could have given up. And I know a lot of people who did at that point, who just said, "Fuck it, this industry isn't for me, and I don't want to be here anymore." But I stayed, and I kept going, and I met a lot of people who deserve to take the torch to the next level. You know what I mean? And I made connections with those people, and I connected those people, and I'm looking forward to what's going to happen in this music industry. I'm finally 9 years later, excited for what's going to happen in Vancouver music.
Do you think, was that excuse the phrase, but was that God given, that ability to persevere? One, sure. Perseverance is like a kind of like a fluff term. That, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's more of an intangible skill set, right? Like, do you accredit your intangible skill set to parenting, environment, just talent handed down through your genes? What did that, like, most people are not like you. How'd that happen?
That's a nice compliment. Well, speaking on luck, I was born in a really small town in Ontario.
Okay.
My father's a musician, has worked the same job for the last 30 something years. When my parents separated, my mom said, I'm going to move to BC. And she looked at my brother and I and said, do you want to come? And I thought, no.
How old were you?
I was 11.
Wow.
And I thought, no, like, I don't want to leave. Like, what kind of choice is that for an 11-year-old?
Yeah.
So out of luck, I made the choice to move to BC. Right. And I think that was a turning point in, you know, in my life, obviously, because I was no longer in that small town that, you know, there's very little opportunity, you know, creatively and whatever.
I get it. Yeah.
So in coming out here, I think, you know, what was the question again?
I was just saying, how did you get that intangible skill set?
Oh, yeah. So my father was a musician. My family forced me to be a musician.
Okay. What did you play early on? Sing, play, dance?
I first started the trumpet. Like, don't laugh, but like it was the last. I stalled. I was like, I don't want to be in band. So I stalled until it was like, you can play the trumpet.
Well,
like,
no one
that's
else
all
picked
that's
the
left.
trumpet, so you can have it.
Exactly. So I played the trumpet for a few years, and then I picked up the guitar because my father plays the guitar and
There you
sings.
go.
And a lot of people in my family are musicians as well, and amazing talents. I sucked.
What?
I was not good at it.
What?
But I enjoyed music. I was like, I know this is a part of me. So with, you know, being out in BC where there's more opportunity, it's more creative, it's, you know, just the whole energy, you know, I'm not talking Toronto, I'm talking like north of Toronto.
Okay.
In a very small town. So I think life, you know, weird things that happen to you that are like crossroads or turning points in your life have given me sort of, I guess, the strength maybe to persevere, you know. Moving when I was 11, it was 6th grade. You know, I was an awkward teenager. I didn't know what I was, you know, I was being forced to be a musician. I wasn't good at it. You know, that's tough for a teenager. So I had to figure out like what I wanted to do. Yeah. You know, almost immediately, and like kind of rebel against what everyone else wanted me to do.
Yeah.
So turning points like that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I get it.
And from there, you know, when I was in BC and moving to Vancouver, I made the choice to become a hairstylist and go to school as a hairstylist, and I did that for many years. And then, you know, another turning point, like, you've put all of this work
into one thing.
You should be so proud of yourself. Like, look at how far you've come.
And you're like, fuck it.
And you don't want to do this anymore.
You're like, nah.
Yeah. So I think for me, just like, I'm conscious of my growth.
Word.
Every crossroad that I face, sort of, you know, whatever it is, every 10 years in life, you know, and I'm sure I'll continue to face these, like you go left or you go right, and your life changes in either direction. Yeah. I think in being conscious of that, that's sort of given me, you know, perseverance.
The power, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah. In that way. And perhaps it's a personality trait as well.
For sure. Well, obviously it's a multitude of things, for sure. And there's no code or formula or equation or however the fuck you want to put it.
And my parents are super supportive of me as well. Regardless of what I do. I could be a farmer and they'd be like, well, that's really great. Like, are you paying your rent? Cool. Like, there's no, you know, aside from, you know, this short period of time where everyone thought I should be a musician and try to force me into that. They're totally cool. Like, my dad's, you know, sharing my articles on Facebook and showing his friends, and
that's awesome.
You know, my mom's she's just a gem. Like, she just it doesn't matter what I do. Like, I could do anything and she would just be proud of me. So I think in that too, like, a lot of people face the, you know, the battle within them as to what they should do. But then they also face the outside world, their family, you know, their friends,
social,
whatever. Yeah. And that's a huge factor in, you know, which direction you want to go. And for me, they just were like, go for it.
Right.
Do, you know, if you're paying your rent and you're healthy and you're happy and, we're cool with whatever you
so
do.
the decision was completely internal. Basically, we're saying you essentially, maybe not you, but your family was so supportive in a way that you could just be like, you know what, they're cool. I'm pretty confident in myself. So when I just completely just put a blinder there and just say, okay, what do I want to do? You can make that decision from yourself is kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Word. That's super cool.
So there's no distraction as to, or anxiety as to, am I going to,
please this person or
fail
how am I gonna
and
look?
disappoint people or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
like
right,
I just had to worry about setting goals and achieving them, which is, it's a constant battle. And when that's all that you're focused on,
it's easier.
It makes it a hell of a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
totally.
sure.
That's really cool. So you said when you made that transition from hairdressing and hairstyling, that was, you were like, I can't see myself growing old and, getting gray hairs and still being in here and doing that. And you also said, to contradict that a little bit, you said, well, I can't necessarily see myself, maybe every 7 years, every 10 years, my life trajectory will change. And that's cool. Maybe I go left, maybe I go right. So you're obviously in a great position right now. Can you see yourself being 40 in the same position or in a similar position?
An elevated position.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I definitely want to be a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I found something that I enjoy doing, but I can't stay doing the same thing day to day.
Right.
I have to see a progression.
Growth, progression, yeah.
If I was digging
Challenge.
a hole every day and that hole never got deeper, I can't fucking do that for a paycheck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I gotta go to China, or whatever it is. Is that what you used to say when you were kids? We're digging a hole in China?
Absolutely, yeah.
I gotta know that there's something deeper that I'm working for. And yeah, I'm a stoner. I get lazy sometimes too. You know?
Sometimes you gotta smoke a blunt. Yeah, I get it, for sure.
Yeah, but sometimes I get complacent in what I'm doing and I'm comfortable and I'm, like I said, when I was at that nightclub, I could have done that forever, because I was throwing shows and I was doing things for the city and it was fun. But, the universe snaps me out of that stuff and reminds me that no, you need to keep elevating yourself and to keep elevating your skills and challenging,
yourself,
your entire life.
The entirety of your being and
Totally.
what you think your consciousness is. I get it. No, for sure. So then, hold up, pause. What business do you want to own?
I don't know. Do you have any ideas? You're a business guy.
There's lots of there's a million. I mean, if you want to make money, there's a couple of places you should go right now. But where would your passions lead you? Let's say money. Let's do the old hypothetical. Money doesn't exist. What business are you owning?
At this point,
or creating, or buying.
At this point, I'm in the realm of digital marketing, blog writing, photography, sort of an all-encompassing kind of creative suite, if you will.
Beautiful.
I want to be able to, have clients that come to me and say, for instance, I have a blog and nobody's running it and nobody knows how to do it, and nobody uses our Twitter.
What's
and we
SEO?
just post.
How do we do it?
Yeah. I don't. Like I said, I learn everything I know off the internet, so I'm learning Adobe Suite, and I'm doing that so people can come to me and say, "Oh, you can do graphics, and you can also write, and you can also do photos,
Done.
and you can also run our socials."
Yeah.
I think that for me is kind of, I want to work remotely as well, right? I want to go on vacation a few times a year. So that for me right now is kind of what I'm focused on. And like I said, I've started by going to people who know me and saying you want me in this position with your company.
Trust me.
Yeah, and it's worked out. I've got a few clients who trust me and who are, happy with the work that I do, and it's making me money, and I like doing it. I can work wherever. I can do it right here if I want to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right now that's sort of the focus. But yeah, anything to do with music, I always thought I wanted to do artist management and...
That's what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, artist management and tour management. Because I think it would be really fun to be on the road.
Man. You could whoop some heads too.
All the time. Yeah. Someone recently told me that I'd be a really good producer as well. Not beats producer, but film, television, commercial type producer. Because they said, I think that they said it in a nice way that it was bossy and I get shit done. So I was flattered.
They said you're a boss bitch. That's what
sure.
You said.
Potato. It's whatever you want to call it. I like that people recognize that skill in me, right? Because I think if you give me a list of tasks, like I can help execute that with the team. Mm-hmm. So yeah, artist management, tour management, that type of stuff too. But that really comes with connecting with an artist. You know what I mean? You really have to like have somebody who's like, okay, you're the one for me, and you can get this shit done. So potentially, in the future, like I hope that someone trusts me enough to run their show.
That's so cute. It's like a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I just want to be your one.
Yeah.
Let me be your one.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
And I see females out here sort of starting in the way that I've started and taking the same path, and they're doing really super cool shit just like that with artists, and they have one artist and they're taking care of that one artist while running their, creative companies or whatever.
Okay, so say you have a digital agency, say you have a creative company on the side. What's it called?
Oh man, that's so weird that you said that.
It.
No, I've been racking my brain.
Okay.
I've literally been racking my brain. I don't know. Like I have like an Instagram account. Yeah. I'm building a website. I don't have the name. I want it to be something cute like cupcake or like ice cream or like I don't know, like something cute like that, because I'm often like always in black, and I'm a little honest, like as we've chatted about,
discovered.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd like it to be something like a little contrast to my personality, but like a little girly as well. So I don't know. If you have any ideas, tweet
we'll
them
think
over
about
to
it.
me.
I'll tweet it to you for sure. That's hilarious. So what's your role at Exclaim? What are you doing over there?
I'm a freelance writer.
Okay.
Yeah. So the beginning of the year, I set a goal. I wanted to see my name in print.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to like, after leaving Hip Hop Canada, I was with Hip Hop Canada for years, 6-7 years or something like that.
Yeah. Through a good period too, by the way.
Yeah.
They did well. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
As a fan, yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I think I really held it down for the West Coast as well. I put on some, great photographers. I put out some great content. Sorry. I mentored a few people.
Yeah.
I felt really good about a lot of stuff that I did there until it just became stagnant.
Totally.
It wasn't a proper representation of Vancouver.
Yeah.
It became sort of, everybody wants to be on there. So it was a job and I wasn't getting paid for it. It was, every single rapper is entitled to be on this website. So you have to do it single-handedly.
Yeah.
And I wasn't about that. I got really sick of putting on everybody instead of the people that I liked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you can curate a certain way to what you felt was represented, like what represented Vancouver appropriately for the time, right? And total ignorance on my part, but who else was writing for the West Coast?
There was a few writers at Hip Hop Canada for sure. During that time.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, most definitely. And some have gone on to do their own thing, and they're doing well. Yeah, and so shout out those people, and shout out the photographers, and shout out everybody that contributed in the time that I was there, because there's nothing going. There's nothing going on there right now. Yeah. Let's just say that on the West Coast. Yeah. They're doing their thing wherever they're based, which is in central Canada. Yeah. But as far as the West Coast, they're not pushing out the content that we used to push out.
Totally. And that's not a surprise. That's not an outlandish thing to say. It's just not there right now.
When you're working for free, though, you really have to feel that work.
Well, you also have to feel as if you have ownership and equity under what you're doing, right? Like you can't just be building someone else's castle for free, right? Like you want you want a room in that bitch, right?
You're exactly right.
So I have no idea what that relationship was like or anything like that, but I've understand those relationships from the past and have been in similar situations myself. I get it, but it's also hard to see. Like just as a consumer, I'm a fan, right? I am a fan of Hip Hop Canada. I like that was really cool because it was so, and like to see, is double XL still a big thing? I guess it is.
I'd say Complex is probably, but
Complex
double
is
XL,
over.
freshman,
sure. Yeah, so I remember back in the day it was double XL for me. It was like,
for sure.
That was amazing in terms of the content, but that wasn't like what was cooler than that was like this kid from Surrey that was actually like had the skill set of these other guys, but was totally like that was so exclusive. That was like Louis Vuitton, like that was like holy shit, and no one cared. That was the funny part, right? But it was like, this is amazing, this is gold, and so I was a fan to that. So it's kind of disappointing in a way to see. I hope that they come back and have their presence felt. And
you know what? There's other, like I said, just like that generation of older, you know, artists and music industry, you know, representatives or whatever you want to call them. The new generation is coming up and they're thriving and they're better than we were.
And so that's
you know what I mean? Just look out for these fresh minds. And I'm actually active editor of a publication called Crescendo One. So when I left Hip Hop Canada, I saw the owner of Crescendo One creating this idea for a completely Vancouver based. And I thought, why am I working so hard for a publication that's Canada wide, that makes me put every single fucking person and their dog on this website, instead of working for something that's properly curated and a proper representation of what Vancouver music should and is at this point.
And it's like coverage is coverage, and I think when you're in an early stage development market, as we are, in terms of music and urban culture, that's kind of debatable, but it doesn't necessarily matter where the content is coming from. So like on the macro scale, remember it was Source versus XXL. Remember that whole thing where it was just like, oh shit, you're reading this, or you know, like when M used to go back, there was that whole thing, and it was just like that was at a point where it had just grown so much, and then all of a sudden you're in different camps. It's kind of a different situation. I feel like when we're in a situation like ourselves, like we find ourselves in currently, is like it's just really dope to see coverage. Like I'll draw a parallel with podcasts. It's like I don't really care what your podcast is talking about, or you know, what your production's like. I'm just like super pumped that you're doing it. I'm super pumped that, like, so Side comes out with a new, you know, a single. I'm just pumped to see Icy and Floetic and all these different DJs like play it. I'm like, I don't give a who's playing it. I just care that it's there.
And you know what? Shout out the DJs that do their part as well.
Oh, 100%.
That play that music, because those guys are like important pillars in building the scene.
I don't think it happens without them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that
that's true. I mean, it definitely helps elevate it for sure. You know, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said, you know, how they were talking about how popular Mo Bamba is. You know that Sheck West song? And how crazy everybody goes in the club. And somebody had said, one of the DJs said, I was playing this song when nobody even knew what it was back in da-da-da-da-da. And it cleared the dance floor, they said. And it cleared the dance floor. So why aren't you playing your boy's song? Whether it clears the dance floor, you don't care. You obviously don't care about clearing a dance floor. So why aren't you playing a Vancouver artist, regardless if it clears the dance floor or not, every single night in the club until it's fucking Mo Bamba levels. You know what I mean? And every white boy in the club is going bananas over this motherfucking song.
Hard.
Do your part. Right? So this 100%. Is what this is actually someone else's opinion that I was like, yeah, you're fucking right. Like that is the truth, right?
That is what it is. No,
so I think even the honesty between people, you know, in the hip hop industry, and the honesty between, you know, artist management and DJs and artists and you know, writers and promoters and everything, we gotta let each other know, like, you're important. You yourself, what you're doing individually, are important for this music scene.
That song
now here's
matters.
what you can do to help us. You know,
super cool, and like have a symbiotic relationship. Like, no relationship needs to be one way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It baffles me, and like it's not an easily solved issue, and because there's so many different people involved, and like you can kind of throw one-dimensional answers in it that like do work. Like, hey, fuckers, throw out your ego and just work together. Like creatively, just work together. And like, you know, so and so put out an album, like fucking promote it. I know you like it. I know you're fucking with it. Just like throw it on your Instagram. I'm
starting to see it more often though.
Right?
Yeah, I'm starting to see it.
That's one thing, but like it also takes. So say I don't know, Tory Lanez comes through, and you know we have a promoter that's hosting it. Why don't we throw Brevin are on stage. Like, let's put these same guys on the same level. So
Yep.
all of a sudden we have, okay, someone comes through Rogers, St. John comes through Rogers. We have 15,000 people. Cool. Let's put Side up there. Let's put T-Loc
Yep.
up there. Let's
Yep.
get them on
Absolutely.
there. Like, let's just get them on there, right?
So funny that you say that with Breakout Festival,
Okay.
which is our second festival.
Break that. Hold up. Break that down. What is Breakout Festival for people that don't know?
So it's a all hip hop / R&B music festival. It's a biannual festival at the Peony. So
Cool.
in the summertime, it's in the amphitheater outside, and in the wintertime, which we're doing on December 14th, it's inside the Coliseum. So 2-day festival in the summertime, 1-day festival in the wintertime. And the idea of it is to have an all hip hop festival. These young people under 19, they don't have, there's getting more and more places that are eliminating that market and saying we're just going to do 19 plus shows, or
Yeah, 'cause
we're
they
going to
can
raise
sell
our
liquor.
rent so high so that you can't even put an all ages show in this room.
Yeah.
So they have less to do. They have less music experiences to enjoy than the rest of us.
That's how culture
But they're
dies.
actually the most supportive.
Yeah.
They're the ones that'll spend their babysitting money.
Interesting.
And they're the ones that will come out at fucking doors are at 6. They come out at 6.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Because they got no place else to be. So
Yeah.
these are spaces for them. So these are for 16 to 24-year-olds. These festivals. These aren't for the older generation. And I remember when we put out a press release before we announced the lineup in the summertime, and we said Vancouver's first all hip hop and R&B festival. And people were like, "Oh my God, we can't wait!" And then we dropped the lineup, which was headlined by Tory Lanez and Migos.
Yeah.
And people were like, "This isn't hip hop. Fuck this festival." Like half the people were like, "This is amazing. We can't wait." And the other half were like, "Where's the real hip hop? This is mumble rap. Fuck this festival. Da da da." And we were like, "It's not for you,
I'm super
Richard.
confused.
Like,
Yeah.
you work
Sorry-
a 9 to
sorry,
5.
Dick.
You know what I mean? You work a 9 to 5,
Yeah.
and you go home to your wife and eat.
And listen to Bruno. Like, yeah.
Totally. You eat dinner and you put your kids to bed. So
Yeah.
this isn't for you. Please, it's all inclusive, but
Yeah.
please come.
Yeah.
However, if you don't enjoy the music, it's clearly not for you.
Yeah. So shut your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to that guy, but like honestly, there's nothing wrong with not enjoying it. But just like I don't go and like voice my fucking opinion on like
Oh, the
old
internet's
school.
a fucking wild place. Everyone got an opinion on the internet.
Yes. Okay. So who's on the lineup for Breakout?
So this December,
Yes.
Breakout is headlined by Lil Uzi Vert, Playboy Cardi, Killy, which is weird because of that show at the Alexander, right? They haven't been Playboy Cardi and Uzi haven't been here since they were at the Alexander in 2015
Full circle.
together.
That's cool.
Right. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool because we did that show. Now we're doing the show again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a really epic roster of Vancouver artists.
Talk. Who's up?
Ili Miniachi,
Okay.
who's a really great Vancouver artist.
I don't know that name.
You should check him out.
Okay. Cool.
Like I wouldn't say this if I
Let me
didn't
write that
personally
down.
listen to every single song. Like he's got like a star quality about him.
What was that name again?
Ili Miniachi.
Cool. Listen, I follow
Check
up
it
on
out.
shit all the time.
Yeah. The other artist is a young artist called AC.
Okay.
AC, that young N-word.
Uh-huh.
He's like 17, I think, in that realm, and he's really like on.
God, born in 2001.
Yeah, can't even get into the club. So
I love that shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, I fucking love that shit.
yeah, and
That's
he's hype as
amazing.
fuck,
Yeah.
and he's hype as fuck, and yeah, it's a different
Sweet.
sound. It's a different sound for Vancouver for sure. So he's creating his own, and he's got
Lane.
an attitude, and he's
Yeah.
got a presence that you're like, whoa, like this is a
Yeah.
youth, like okay.
Yeah. At 17, I love that. The audacity. It's
Yeah,
cool.
no, it's
Yeah.
great. He's got the audacity is the right word. There's another girl called Rude Nala,
Okay.
a young guy who's, if you're looking for females in the city to support, she's very up and coming.
I'm writing all these names down
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
And the last one is Yerm Sauce. His name is.
Okay.
We also have 2 DJs from Vancouver. One's name is Softy Shan, and the other one is Raiden. So the idea behind, you can find it at breakoutfest.com.
Hello. Yeah. Write that down.
Breakout-fest.com.
Okay.
No, sorry, breakout-festival.com.
Oh, come on now. That'll throw people off. There you go.
Yeah, so the idea behind Breakout Festival is to bring these big name artists to Vancouver for an all hip hop festival, but also give the Vancouver artists a platform to be seen and heard and to help elevate their fan bases. So if you're coming for Uzi and you're 16 years old and you got nothing else to do on a Friday, you're showing up at 6 o'clock when doors are there, like I said, and you're staying all the way till 1 a.m. till Uzi leaves the stage. You're going to catch Urim Sauce, Nala, AC, Ili Miniachi. You're going to catch them all, and you're going to, at least one of those artists is going to be in your playlist the next week.
You're going to connect with at least one of them, for
100%.
sure. Because you spent that $20 or $50, whatever it is,
100%.
of your babysitting money that you fucking worked for, right?
Yeah, and we've seen it. We've seen it even from the last festival. So Ili was on the last festival, AC was on the last festival, and Nala came out and did a guest spot on someone else's set. She did one song on someone else's set. So we've seen these artists from the time of Breakout. Now, like, I'm not even joking. This is a real story. Outside of that Drake show, or when Drake came to Fortune, I was standing with Ili, and someone came up to him, a group of guys, and said, "Bro, are you Ili Miniachi?" Like, how amazing is that to see coming from a generation where every one of your artists can walk past anybody and no one says a fucking damn thing.
Unreal.
You know what I mean?
That's
There's
so
very
cool.
few artists that I've seen that in public. Brevner is another one of those artists. He walks out in public and people are like, "Bro, are you Brevner?" Or "Hey, Brevner, cool, cool video you just put out," or whatever. So it's cool to see that, and it's cool to see something that I had a hand in helping
and grow.
Helping that occur.
That's unreal. That's totally unreal. So a lot of these people will identify, so like yourself, music family, try to pick it up, didn't necessarily go so well, didn't like it, didn't have the passion, didn't have the skill, whatever it may be. And then a lot of people will go kind of the other direction where, cannot become these artists. And for me, it's kind of like a close second where you can't be that person, but you can still be heavily involved in the development of that person. And that's maybe just as good, because giving fucking feels great. Right? Like, that's, a lot of people don't think about that a lot of times. So, but I want to transition back a little bit, because you talked about Exclaim, and that you said that was a goal for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's a goal for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now, how does one go about creating, that position for themselves where they can be a published writer? Is that a long road? How does that happen? Does it start with blogs? How does that, how do you get there?
I had an archive of material.
Right.
So, I wasn't just a contributor or a blog writer. I was the West Coast editor of Hip Hop Canada.
Yeah, you laid the groundwork.
Yeah. Unfortunately, when they rolled over to a new site, all of the previous content was wiped off the site. I'm not sure if it's back on, which included a lot of my content.
Did you have it separately?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took all the pieces that I wanted, and I made my
God.
own website, which is a virtual resume.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah.
So luckily I took that, and I just, what was it? January 1st came, and you do your
New Year's.
These are my goals and this and that.
I like you're doing a quick glance at the ceiling right there, but like, it is real.
Like, big eye roll, but it is real. Like,
Yeah.
if you're setting a goal and you smash those goals, like, be proud of yourself, bro. Like, as corny as it sounds.
Yeah.
So January 1st came around, and I said, one of my goals after this whole thing is to get onto a publication that is recognized, that is still Canada-wide, and where my name, where my dad in the small town in Ontario can pick up this magazine and go, "Yo, that's my kid.
That's pretty cool.
That's her name. That's my last name right there." So I just reached out, and I just said, like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And here's what I've done in the past.
Fucking cool.
And they said, cool, like, send us what your top 5 hip hop albums this year were. And I was like, okay.
Oh, what were they?
I don't even remember what they were
come
at that time.
on.
Early this year.
Yeah.
I definitely remember there was an 88 Glam album on there.
Okay, wait, hold up. When did they ask you that?
They asked me early. Well, I applied early in the year, right?
Okay,
so it was like just January, February, March, or something around that time.
Shit. What even came out? Okay, all right. That is a hard question.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember. I do remember that 88 Glam album was on there, though, for some reason. I don't know why. It was probably maybe like Drake, or I don't know. I can't remember.
Yeah. Okay.
And they did ask me about Canadian albums as well, and I put Illy Maniaci, I put Manila Grey.
Shout out Manila Grey, shout out Azelle, just on the podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah, very cool. They have a fucking cool sound.
Yeah, no.
I'm a big fan. I'm a huge fan. Shout out to you guys. Thanks for coming on. Yeah.
Absolutely. And shout out 1 million organic views and plays, because that's cannot be finessed. It can be finessed, but that whole movement cannot be
We talked
finessed.
about it. We talked about it on the podcast. I said, listen, you didn't just create a bunch of views on YouTube. You created a tribe. Like there's a lot. I got a lot of messages like, what?
Absolutely.
You have them on the podcast? And I'm like, I don't even know you guys even knew
That's a fan
about
base.
this people. Like I'm at the barber shop and I was like, yo man, you met Azelle, da da da. I'm like, he's a really down to earth guy, highly intelligent person. Like I understand why they're fucking successful.
Totally.
Right?
And something like now you can see being in the music industry for that amount of time and seeing like someone like that, or someone's like them, doing so much in a short period of time. You're like, yo, that is a sound I'm proud of to say is from my city. And I can't say that I've been able to say that for the entire time I've worked in music.
Yeah.
I can finally start to say people like Manila Grey, people like Solo Key, people like Illy, people like,
shout
you know
out,
what I mean?
out. Yes,
these are people I'm
yes.
proud to say they're representing Vancouver music now.
And they're
you know
crafting
what I mean?
the sound too, which is like
Absolutely.
it's amazing, and I love to see it. And so that's really cool to see the sound start to develop, and then now we get to see what these smaller artists, the spin-offs of that, and like because
totally,
it's like
the people being influenced by them, and even the collaborations between them, like Manila Grey and Solo Key. If this was 5-10 years ago or whatever, they would have, like I said, been on this side and been on this side and competing. But these two entities, are on Instagram collabing, and you're like, when the fuck is that track dropping? Because like I can't even wait, and you're creating like a fan base that's now like, oh shit, Manila Grey is working with Solo Key. Yo, I'm gonna check out some Solo Key.
Yeah.
Or yo, Solo Key is working with Manila Grey.
I'm gonna check out some Manila Grey.
Yo, I'm gonna be bumping Manila Grey all week or whatever it is, right?
Two dope artists for sure.
Yeah. So like, I can say now at this point, I'm finally proud to say like the music that's coming out of this city properly represents us.
How do we keep it going?
Support.
Pay your $15 ticket.
Pay your $15 ticket. Work together. And just like anybody with money that's listening, just recognize us.
Reach out.
Yeah,
There's
just
money
come
to be
through.
made there.
We want the levels. You know what I mean? We want to differentiate the fake million views from the real million views.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can see two numbers on YouTube, but you know which one's truth. You know what I mean?
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
I could probably show you right now a fake million views coming out of Vancouver, and you would say that's
bogus.
bought views.
That's bogus.
That's bought views. And I want the city to start being woke to that.
Totally.
To start recognizing, and I want the people that are covering our city to scrap that shit and put on the people that deserve it. And I want to see, when outside publications and writers from other cities and A&Rs and, people who do conferences here and, whatever. I want to see those people doing their fucking research.
Yes.
And really grabbing the people that are doing
quality.
the things to push the scene in the right way.
Yeah.
Instead of looking over them,
Truth always wins and quality always wins. Like it doesn't matter what position you're in or what position you're trying to get to, or if you're trying to get if you're trying to get the attention of an A&R or whatever it is, you're at the end of the day, and I know we get shit pop music culture artists, but like at the end of the day, longevity and true careers come from quality content. Like fucking master your craft.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's why like I'm not even again, we actually wanted, I hate to relate everything back to podcasts, but just the space that we're at right now, it's just like we wanted this to not go well for like 20-30 episodes, so I could not be terrible. Right now we were lucky, things picked up and I wasn't as bad as we thought we were gonna be, and things worked out okay. But it's like in the back of my mind I'm like, fuck, like let's not promote this. Like let's keep this low key just for a bit. Let's take our lumps.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in like finance, like for instance, or when you're growing up in life and you're learning to deal with money. It's like if you fuck up and lose all your money when you're 17, big deal. Yeah. Right? Like you can still bounce back. And I'm proud to own that. So like we don't need, like, we don't buy anything. We don't buy any views. Like, all of our shit's organic. Like, when we dropped our first podcast, it was like, we'd get, I don't know, 200 views on YouTube or something like that. And I swear to God, I got 150 fucking messages. I swear to God.
Yeah.
And it was just like, wow, this is insane, right? But we're owning that point. So we don't need to go out and buy that recognition or whatever, because it's just like, man, this is like, the process is beautiful. Like, I hate to, that's like a rush thing too.
I'd rather flex 100 organic views on my Instagram saying, shout out everyone that watched, than 10,000 fake views.
Hell yes.
I don't want to see. I don't want to see anybody paying attention to these artists that are buying views and then promoting. Yo, shout out everyone who like
just supported me, and shout out that one bot that really did that for me.
My goal in the city for what I want to see is that to be white noise, that nobody's paying attention to that.
Yeah.
Because you know why? You're taking away from the people who are really fucking doing something amazing, and you're taking away from the people who deserve it, whether they have 100 views or not. You know what I mean? So own your, and that's the other thing too, is that I think a lot of Vancouver artists don't even believe in themselves, so they have to buy views. They don't believe in themselves. They have to buy their views because they don't believe in their fan base.
I get it.
And that's sad. And we don't want you representing us. You know what I mean? We don't need that.
Yeah.
You're actually
free smoke.
You're actually actively helping, like, push against the good that we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And you're taking away from people that are like creating amazing things.
Because you're insecure in yourself.
Whatever
insecure
it is.
in your own craft.
That's not for me to judge, but it's not necessary.
That's what I'm gonna call it. So
it's not necessary to name names or even pay attention. You know what I mean? It's not necessary for outside publications to be covering this. It's not necessary for people to be talking about it or posting about it because it's not real.
Right.
When you could be supporting what's real.
Yeah. So you're pretty excited about the outlook of culture here in Vancouver. You're excited about where things are going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want our moment. I just want, like, that, Atlanta's having their moment. Toronto had their moment, I don't know when it's going to come. I'm lucky just to sit down and talk with a lot of amazing people that are really entrenched in it. And they're all just kind of sitting here. They're like,
because we can feel.
Like, it's, I don't know, but we're on to something. I don't know what we're on to, but we're on to something. And that's, like, super cool. And I think it starts with stuff like, Emotions Open Mic. It starts with stuff like, Breakout. It starts with stuff that, like, just, the guys that are coming through Fortune. It starts with, just the grassroots stuff that comes from the bottom up. I love that. Can you talk to me a little bit about Slow Jam Sundays and what you're doing there? Or what is that?
Slow Jam Sundays is a pretty amazing organization. So Breakout is for the young people. Right. And Slow Jam Sundays is for the mature.
For you grown folks out there.
Yeah, for you grown-ass men and women.
Yeah, trying to get your motherfucking freak on.
If you like throwback R&B.
2000s, 90s?
Yeah, 90s, 2000s.
Hello.
Yeah, video, dance parties, good vibes. I like it. Grown-up people, it's just grown-up debauchery, not any, childish behavior.
Yeah. That 2000s R&B. Yeah. Shout out, Kevin Hahn from Self Hard. That's his top 10 right there. Is Nelly. So whatever.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. They definitely be bumping some Nelly. Yeah. Flip Out is one of the DJs for Slow Jam Sundays.
Badass.
Moving back to the topic of Flip Out. And Marlon J. English and P Love. So those are the three DJs for Slow Jam Sundays. They also have Aaron Dudley and Ariel Swan, who are part of Slow Jam Sundays. They're not DJs, but they're active members of the team. Yeah. And it's just a really great team. And it's a really great vibe, and that is a true testament to friends supporting their friends' events and just growing the fuck out of it.
Yeah. And it's dope music.
Yeah, like they just started out throwing parties, and people came and they paid their money, and they didn't ask for guest list, and now they're selling out Commodore.
Wow.
With fucking DJs.
Wow.
Like, I wish the hip hop scene could get to this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's something there. There's a blueprint there. There's a there's something special about that, in the way that they're just a Vancouver, event, and they're local DJs, and they don't have to throw any fancy poster, or they don't put ads on their fucking events.
That's crazy. It's on a Commodore? What?
Bro, it still blows me away.
How many people in there? Like, can you fit in there?
At least 1,100, but they can push it to like 13. I don't know. Maybe 13.
That's crazy.
But 1,100 tickets. Can you imagine?
How often?
Can you imagine 1,100 of your friends coming out right now for your event?
I really can't. That's crazy. Or I can't even imagine that for a local rapper. Goddamn,
Totally.
like for most of them. But shit,
Totally.
11. Wow, sorry. That's something. I mean, I know a lot of local musicians. That's like their goal, where it's just like I just want to get to the Commodore, and it's just like
who's selling out the Commodore? Sunreal. You know,
Sunreal.
that's a Vancouver artist that's selling out the Commodore.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's like, look at how far he's had to work and come.
Oh, he's
for that.
on now for sure. Yeah.
It just shows that it's possible.
Totally,
you know what I mean?
totally,
It's possible
totally.
to get yourself to that level with, I don't know. Honestly,
Yeah.
I wasn't with Slow Jams from the very beginning, but they just have a special product and something that people enjoy, and they provide a good time every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So people come out.
When
Like,
did this start?
oh, fuck.
It's
It must have been 7 years ago. Yeah.
Licensed to be wrong. You're on a podcast. It's all
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Don't fact check me.
Yeah,
Don't
for
fact
sure,
check
for
me.
sure. 7 years ago, so that's awesome.
Yeah, so quite a few years.
How often does it go down?
Once a month. It's every long weekend.
Badass.
Yeah.
Super.
So it's
super
on a
cool.
Sunday.
Yeah.
But, you know, next day is usually a stat holiday.
Yeah.
So yeah, the next one's at for New Year's at the Commodore.
Well, you know what? It's also a little bit like, you know, that the audience that you're catering to there is a little bit more mature, and obviously maybe we don't have those barriers to break down in terms of like, yeah, it's okay, I can spend $20 or whatever, right? Yeah. Totally. Is there anything else you're involved in that I'm missing? Like, I know I creeped your Twitter profile, but like, what is there anything else I'm missing?
My Twitter's
here?
so rude.
I fucking loved it, by the way. Yo, so
My
like,
Twitter's so rude.
I'm like you know, Facebook, you might get a rant every once in a while. Keep it fairly professional.
Yeah.
Instagram's pretty well curated.
Yeah.
Twitter, whew, like
know.
anybody can get it.
I know.
Anybody can get that smoke.
I know. I feel like not too many people I know in real life follow me on Twitter. So I'm just like, I just have, you know, like someone steps on your shoe on the bus and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go off.
Oh yeah, here we go.
You know what I mean?
Where's my motherfucker? I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
140 characters, or sorry, 280 now. Goddamn,
Yeah.
you're about to get a paragraph.
And you know what's so funny is I always say like, one of my goals is to just go viral off a tweet.
Yes.
I just like want
Yes.
something to be so funny that it's
I'm
posted
liking
on
all your
World
shit.
Star.
I'm liking all your shit.
Yeah, please retweet, please
Retweeting
support.
everything.
Yeah.
You don't give a
I've got a
shit.
goal
You
here.
don't give a single shit.
Yeah.
I fucking love it.
So, but you know what's funny is I posted a video from that Drake, that night when Drake was at Fortune,
Okay, yeah.
and that is my highest liked and retweeted tweet. So, allegedly, I don't have as big of a sense of humor as I thought I did on Twitter,
I
but
think
there's
you're
still
funny
time.
as fuck.
Thanks.
Because I see, like,
Thanks.
I feel like your tone when you write a tweet is the same as my tone when I write a tweet. So I
Yeah.
just get it and understand it. And I'm like, yeah. Like, I'm either like, yeah, I feel what you're saying, or I'm like, yeah, fuck that guy, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's like fun.
It's like the
in this
voice in
weird
your
way.
head with the shit that you don't want to say in
It's the
public.
shit that
but
pops
you-
up like
yeah.
right away, and you're like, da 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 da, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh man, I would never say it to his face, but hold up,
Yeah.
let me just tweet this
Let
real
me just
quick.
tweet this real
Which
quick.
is what makes the internet a fucking harsh place.
It's
but
true.
I like it. I'm not
It's
gonna
true.
lie. So
Let's use it for good, though, you know, and not to hurt people's
oh
feelings.
no,
or
for sure.
whatever.
That's a whole other conversation where it's like I think. So like with guys, it's like, you know, oh bro, fuck you, you did this, or da 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 da, like you couldn't even do this, and we like make fun of each other, and it's
Yeah.
like, but it's all good at the end of the day, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, whatever, like you're making fun of him because he screwed up with Mary last week, and you know couldn't get her to his house or whatever, whatever it may be, but it's like
Yeah.
there's an understanding that it's just like, you know, in a way we're almost like making each other better, because it's like if I say something that's just like terribly whack and like just out of context, like I know those guys are gonna call me on it. Like with my siblings, like I have 4 sisters and 1 brother, and like if I say something, like they're on me. Like they're on me. Like
4 sisters.
Yeah. Oh, my sisters are the best. They'll like, and they're all older than me. I'm the youngest of the group. And they'll be like, oh, they'll rip me a new one, and my brother would just kind of look there and be like,
Yeah.
you know, you're an idiot, right? Anyways, but there's just like this understanding of like, if we can actually, I don't want to say bully each other because that's not the right word at all, but it's just like constantly
in a fun way.
have a fun and have a little bit of a thick skin and go back. Like we eliminate a lot of the bullshit that just comes from us, right? Like every idea I have is not good, and that's something that I'm sure that you've experienced, you know, internally within your teams. Like, for instance, I might have a creative direction with something we're doing digitally with Self-Hired, and like I need Kev to be like, just it's not it's not a good look.
It's a trash idea.
That's trash.
Yeah.
And I also need you just as much to be like, yo, that's fire. Let's go on that, right?
Yeah, you have to value those friends because you know that when they say something's fire, it's really fire because they told you the last 6 ideas were trash. Like,
yeah,
you know, like
Yeah.
I really enjoy having those honest people around me, and I think like it may not, I may not come across it, but I am sensitive. So like if someone's like that idea's trash, I'm like, oh okay, and then like you know on the inside I'm like sad emoji,
yeah.
but. On, you know, like truly in the long run, you're like, yo, like these are the people you really need to surround yourself with rather than, you know, gassers or yes men or whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
so I think, you know, especially when you're trying to elevate yourself and creatively, you need a few.
Or just in fucking life decisions. Like, it doesn't even have to be creatively. Like, for instance, you know, maybe I'm trying to go to Whistler for a spa day with my girlfriend and a bunch of her friends. This is an example, real life, actually. And it's a fucking great example.
Scandinave.
So literally. So all right, all truthful on this one. So we're, there's like a 10 or 12 and then it's like $65 or something like that, and so we're like hitting up all these people, and then we had like 20 people say yes, and we're like, fuck yeah, let's go, let's bring a bunch of vans, or like we'll just get a bunch of cars, we'll go do it. And then like everybody bailed, like, oh sorry, I can't make it, oh it's too much. Oh, okay, and then we go down to like 5 people, and we're like, what the heck? And I was just like sitting there talking to my girlfriend Tracy, and I was like, I was pissed. I was so mad because I was just like, that's so Vancouver. That's such a Vancouver thing to do. It's just be like, you know, go out there and be like, yeah, this is super cool. But then when it comes time to actually do it or go to a show or, you know, like buy a ticket or read an article or retweet something, it's just like, oh yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. I hated that. And then one of my buddies was like, hey, yo, bro, like I actually really do want to go. But to be honest with you, like if I'm gonna go with my girl, like I just kind of want that to be a one-on-one thing. So like we'll probably go like later in the year, but we're gonna like pass up on this one. And I was just like, yo, Chris, thank you for fucking saying that. Like nobody has those conversations. It's always just some bullshit excuse like, oh, it's too much, or like, oh, I can't make the time work or something like that. Like hate's a strong word. I hate those fucking conversations where you can tell right away as soon as someone's giving you bullshit. Yeah. Instantly. Like, especially a person like you. You can be like, oh, what's that? Oh, you don't have the cash? Oh, I thought I saw you at Earl's. Whatever. You know what I'm saying?
I got a pretty good bullshit detector.
Exactly.
And I don't always say it too, but yeah.
So
you gotta let people bullshit if they want to be a bullshitter.
That's good advice right there.
Yeah.
That's good advice right there. I'm learning
That's not
that.
you. That's not a reflection of you. Don't worry.
Yeah. I get it. But it's just like, you know, when someone comes back with an honest answer,
it's appreciated.
That's what you use. That's what you use to get better, like constantly. Sure. Like, and especially with artists, like, you know, being in the studio with certain artists, and they'll be like, hey, what'd you think of this? And I'm like, honestly, those that 6 bars right in the middle, scrap them. Like I just don't think that fits with anything else you're doing. Like you should think about rethinking that. Like the rest is good. Like I'm really fucking with the rest of it, but these 6 bars right here, just like they're trash. Yeah. Right. Did you have anybody do that with you in terms of your writing? Did you ever have someone like that was just like, hey, I know you're a writer, but this wasn't good?
I've had editors and like, you know, people who looked over my work and, you know, politely edited everything. You know, things. Yeah. And I'm really conscious of that because I'm really, I guess, sort of like attached to the things that I write. Yeah. So it's like if someone's going to edit it, then I'm going over it like, okay, so they didn't like that. So they didn't, you know, that was the wrong way to say that. So I'm really, I internalize it, right? And then I do things differently the next time. Yeah. I definitely learn a lot from making mistakes. Totally. I'm a huge okay, make a mistake, like try it over again and do, you know what I mean? Next round is different. I certainly do. Yeah. I certainly have, for sure.
That's badass. No, I love it. And I love it. Like, okay, here we go. So I think with men, with my experience, I hate to generalize, but I'm about to do it. Like, our ego just takes a huge hit and we get defensive, excuse me. And we're just like, oh my God, this person's attacking me. And then with women, it's more like, well, you get a little emotional, right? Like you really like take that inside and then it hurts your soul. And it's just like, no. Like, please, like, no, stop. Don't.
Yeah. I think it's a personality thing too, right? Like I'm definitely the type of person that's like I'm conscious of how I affect people. I'm conscious of, I don't know, just like myself, I guess. And I want to listen to your opinion of me. You know what I mean?
Yes,
whether it's
yes,
shit
yes,
or
yes.
whether it's great or whatever. Like, I want to know I want to know these things so I can like I said, take
Get
it in
better.
and then next time just like switch it up a little bit or whatever.
Totally.
So for me, yeah, like it, things get a little bit sensitive and sometimes they get defensive and, but that's stuff that I try not to, get too tied up in that stuff. I try not to get too tied up in being emotional or too tied up in being defensive.
Yeah.
And, and I think we can all do I can do a better job of it. We can all do a better job of it, right?
Totally.
Just sort of taking things for face value. Unless you're a dickhead. If you're a dickhead, then fuck off. Like, because I don't need to hear that shit. I only want constructive motherfucking criticism.
Yeah, haters go that way.
Yeah.
Go that way. That's awesome. Listen, I was trying to keep this podcast to like an hour under, and we were way past that. I think we're like an hour and a half, like coming up 2 hours. So,
okay, perfect.
But that's kind of what happens when conversation happens. I had a list of shit I wanted to ask you, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think I got to a single one. But you know what? I'm not worried about it because that was an awesome conversation. You're definitely an individual. I'm gonna bug you
on Twitter.
I'm gonna bug you on Twitter. Oh shit, I'm gonna bug you on Twitter for sure.
Okay,
I only
cool,
have like 100 followers, so what's the damage done?
Cool.
And I don't think a single one of my real friends are even on that platform.
Yeah, no,
so
you just keep trekking away, right? Like we said, 100 real followers is better than 10,000 fake ones.
I don't even care. I don't like, not a single part of me cares. Like, name another podcast host that'll be like, yeah, I have 100 people on social media. Like, you're like, fuck off. Anyways, where can we find you? Please plug your stuff. Or what's coming up again? I know December 14th is coming up.
Yeah, Breakout Festival.
Please,
on the
where
14th.
can we find you? What are you up to? Where can we direct people for you?
I guess Instagram and Twitter.
Yes.
Both at Kass Kills with a K.
Yeah.
Breakout-festival.com.
Yeah.
December 14th, after party at Fortune, and then we have a guest host to be announced.
TBD, okay.
Just Crescendo 1, follow our playlist. We got we've got the Best Out West playlist, which is all Vancouver artists, which we're really, really trying to pop that off. So support your local hip hop artist. Crescendo1.com and Spotify, Best Out West. What else? I don't know. Whatever.
Lots of stuff.
DM me.
Writing? DM you? Yeah, cool.
Exclaim. Yeah, when I do Exclaim, I'll have a byline on Exclaim with my government name, which I'm not going to share just because I don't want my
It's all good.
identity stolen.
Hello. Yeah.
I think we already said it at the beginning.
Yeah, but I mispronounced it, so don't worry about it. Anyways,
have fun trying to spell that shit.
Yeah, go ahead and try, motherfucker. Instagram, Twitter. Be wary on Twitter though. Be wary, you might get it.
Yeah, I don't clap back.
You don't clap back?
No. I don't. People don't beef me on Twitter.
Oh, bro, fuck
surprising.
It. Oh, you saw it now.
I invite it. Yeah.
I'm gonna pick my poison. I'm gonna wait here. I'm gonna get a nice entry and make sure I got my points. I'm gonna go 6 replies down the line and make sure that you're on point.
I like it.
Anyways, I appreciate the time. We'll make sure to check out your stuff and we'll definitely talk about some dope other influential, iconic Vancouver women to get on the podcast too.
Perfect.
So I appreciate your time.
Awesome.
I know everyone listening did, and we'll catch you next time.
Cool. Thanks for
guys.
having me.
That's a wrap.